Hi everyone, I am Amanda, and it is the month of October, also now being called Drawtober for an art challenge, or if you're like me, it's OC-tober every October. OC standing for original character. If you know me, if you're familiar with what I love to draw, it's particularly my OCs. So I figured my personal challenge will be to spend this OC-tober not really trying to do anything fancy with new mediums like ink, because I think I'm a decent inker, and I think I just wanted to have a space where I can just talk about my OCs in a time that's really hard and stressful and whatnot. So this is my Drawtober challenge, which is just Amanda draws and talks about her OCs for however long it takes her to fucking figure out what the heck I'm doing. I told myself I wasn't gonna say fuck, but whatever. Anyways, so my first OC for this is my character Anya, who is the protagonist of my webcomic Tinder. This is very strange for me because I don't openly talk about my OCs or the stories that I write them in, mostly because they're very personal, I would say. So Anya's a character that I've had since I was in high school. I want to say 15, 16, probably younger. For comparison's sake, I am 22 now. She's changed a lot in the years that I've had her. She's not my oldest OC by any means, but she's one that means a lot to me. As a protagonist of my comic, she goes through a lot of character building moments because when we meet her, she's someone who I think is really relatable in feeling like they have to take on the world to do something meaningful. But it doesn't have to be the world. It can just be small things like making your friends feel happy, or taking care of yourself first. And a lot of Tinder will be about Anya kind of navigating that space as she is a young adult, and it's something that I know that I'm relating to as well. I think I put a lot of myself and my own struggles into her character. I, she's special to me. She's fun. I was one of those kids obsessed with magic, so I end up having a lot of these magical type of characters. So she does fire magic, kind of like her thing, although the magic system in Tinder's world isn't really limited to the elements, or sort of types of magic. It's everyone is capable of doing magic, but not everyone does, because it's just it's just another aspect of life. It's not a strange, unusual thing. People just have magic, as there are gods, and some people, like Anya, are a vessel for gods or a conduit. I don't know what I'm doing with a pose here. Sometimes you just freehand and you hope things go okay. Please don't laugh at my giant canvas size. Sometimes you also work huge and it's valid. I don't know what I can say about her without spoiling her entire story, because the plot of Tinder is about a war between gods, and her place, what we know so far is she's the conduit of this goddess Zamora, and Zamora sort of raised Anya like her own daughter, and that's kind of their relationship, a very mother-daughter relationship where Zamora wants to protect Anya but knows that a lot of the things that that the gods are dealing with in their war, it's going to fall to their mortal conduits, which is kind of a huge thing to deal with I think when you think about destiny and things like fate and what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to handle these things, it's kind of difficult when it's all placed on your shoulder. And this is a responsibility that Anya's known she's had since she was very young. So she's kind of scared. She wants to make her godmom proud, but she also has to consider her limits, which other characters remind her to do often. I think she's also baby. I feel like her personality's changed in the time that I've written Anya. When I was in high school, she was a very feisty character, and she wasn't like book smart or anything, very street smart and like not, I wouldn't say dumb per se, but she was feistier and angrier, and I think I kind of leaned into her whole fire motif with that sort of uncharted anger. You could burn if you touch her. That's kind of where the name Tinder comes from, her use of fire magic in particular. But I think she's mellowed out in years. She's less headstrong and a lot more cautious. And I've rewritten Tinder script a lot. Maybe I'm on the current 8th iteration of the script that I finally started to thumbnail and post as the comic. And every time Anya has mellowed out a lot. Not just, well, I mean, obviously in personality. She used to be very rude. She was a little gremlin who was just rude to people. And her story with other characters like Kieran, the protagonist, she had harder relationships with them. But I think something I realized as I developed her, as I wrote the script more, is that she didn't have to have a really feisty personality to be someone that people wanted to root for. I think it's okay to have sad characters. No, not sad. What's the word I'm looking for? Introverted? I mean, she was always very introverted, very lone wolf type, doesn't play in a team and has to learn to play in a team, and she still is very much that, but it's less about her being like this lone badass like lone wolf badass. I can't English, I can't words ever. It's less about her being that and more about how she isn't someone who wants to ask for help because she doesn't want people to burden the weight of her responsibilities. It's just kind of a bit of a stubbornness streak, which I think is very relatable. I do that thing too, where I don't want to ask people for help simply because, like, I want to prove that I can do it by myself, and that was the part, definitely of myself that I inserted into Anya more over the years, and she became less of a character that I ideally wanted to be, and someone that I think that I am. Again, thinking about like Caesar self-inserts, perhaps that kind of logic, that kind of thinking, and how you kind of insert little bits of your own personality into a character. And yeah, I don't know. I can never decide if that was a good or bad thing. I mean, I'm pretty sure all my OCs have a little part of me. She's my baby. I don't know how else to express that. This character in particular, Anya, and protagonist. I don't think I'm saying that word right. Kieran. These two characters mean a lot more to me than I think I can properly express in words. This is a choice pose. That's fine. Anyway, like when I think about it, I think these characters came to me in a time where I was struggling. High school isn't easy. That's very, very blatant, and you know, like obvious to say, like, duh, it wasn't easy, but um, it was a hard struggle, and I often use like OCs and stories as a form of escapism. And Anya was definitely part of that. Her very first iteration, she was a trade thief, and Kieran was a trader on a trade route. And of course, she stole from him. And again, this is a magical world where she fights him with magic. And the entire story was kind of like this weird journey where she accidentally steals an ancient artifact, and it's kind of like, gotta put it back before it's too late. And that was sort of her journey of going from a person who wasn't morally right into someone that is morally right. But I got kind of, I think as I got older, I realized that that wasn't something that interested me for her as a character. I think it's hard as a content creator to constantly, what's the word? Like to officially start a story when you've worked with a character for a really long time, and know every version of that character. That's kind of my deal with Anya. Like, I've had her for years. I've had all the OCs in the story for years, that when it came to finalizing their final comic form and final comic script, I found it really difficult to not hop into the parts where everything was good and everyone was like close and friends, because I mean, in my head they've been close, they've all been close friends and lovers, and already fully fleshed out in my head, but I know that's not how people are experiencing the story in real time. It's a weird dichotomy, I suppose. Oh, that, I don't think that's the right word either. No one's allowed to clock me for words because it's midnight, and I just wanted to do something very quick so I could just talk about my OC, have an open forum, open onion to discuss my baby girl, and how much I love her, even though it's it's just me just blabbing about my sweet girl. I mean, I keep read my comic. I think that's the promotion I am trying to make here, and everything else I've said means nothing. The takeaway you should get from this is that you should read my comic. I'm like joking, but I'm also not. I've been working really hard on it, even if I haven't updated in a while. That's, you know, that's just life. That's life, baby. Oh, no. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like anything. What the hell? What the Christ is any of... honestly, I could be done here. What the fuck? It's fine. Yeah, I don't have more to say. I just love OCs, and I think that's what my goal with this, and I don't know everything else. To just talk about my OCs and give you art of my OCs that is just me screaming and crying. But this is Anya. She's 22 years old. This was kind of a weird coincidence that we're now the same age. She's always been older than me, so it's kind of scary to know that I'm getting to a point where I'm going to be older than her. This is Anya. She's the protagonist of my webcomic Tinder, and she's the most important thing to me in this. She's special. Thank you for sitting and watching. I don't know if my ramblings made sense at all. I think I was going all over the place, but that's just a brain mood. But I'm glad to introduce my baby. Thank you.